Yo, welcome back to my channel. And in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to do a flashlight. Now, I know we've done a flashlight video before in the past and it's done well, but I want to do an update because there are some questions of how to do certain things with those flashlights. So we're going to solve all of that in this video. By the end of this, we'll be able to go to this flashlight, pick it up, turn it on, and use it. You know what I'm saying? We'll use it in 3 different ways. I'll show you how to do that here coming up. So let's jump right on into it. First thing you need to have is a flashlight model in your game. And let's take a look at the one that I'm using for this game. So I think that would be in my assets folder here. Yeah, I just dragged it in. It's just an FBX. And this is my flashlight. As we can see, it has a light that's on. That's just a material. Now, one thing about that material though. Let's find where that material is in our folder and make a duplicate. So right click and duplicate that material. And for me, I've already done that. But the first material was nothing more than just a simple emission material. And this one, we need to make sure that emission is turned off, because we're going to play with that when it comes to using that flashlight. So now that's good. We can do that. We know that we got our flashlight. Now we need to make a blueprint of this flashlight so we can go close to it and pick it up. So that's what we'll do next. So either if you have your flashlight already in your level, you could click this button here, which converts it into a blueprint, right? Or you can just go to your content drawer, right click, and make a new blueprint class, which is an actor, and we can call it flashlight underscore BP. Or really flashlight pickup underscore, because that's what it will be. And so now here, when you double click on your flashlight underscore BP, your blueprint, when we get here, we need to add a static mesh, boom, and here we're just going to add that flashlight. So your flashlight should be right there when you search for it, and you just add that. Now this is obviously way too big. So for me, I know a good size is 0.113, but I don't know what that will be for you if you have a different flashlight. Oops. Let me put that back. All right, so I have to put the lock first and then put 0.113. There you go. Cool. Yeah, if you use a different flashlight than this one, which I may put this one in like the Google Drive like I did last time. If you use a different one, then your scaling may be different. But anyways, that's cool. The next thing we need to do is add a sphere collision. So add a sphere collision to that static mesh. And now you can basically use this collision to tell that whenever the player overlaps this collision, then pick up the flashlight. So that's the code that we're about to write right now. So make the sphere, make it a little bit bigger. And what we're going to do is compile and save. We'll delete this flashlight out of there, and we'll put the flashlight BP into the level. So, I mean, that's a little small, but it'll work, right? You can make it bigger from here, the scale. But, alright, so now what we want to happen is when the player walks over that sphere, the flashlight disappears. So back in the flashlight blueprint, pop. Let's go ahead and click on that sphere on the left hand side, and you can make sure it's highlighted here in the viewport. But in your event graph, on the right hand side, scroll down on component begin overlap. And from here, the other actor is the third person character, or if you're using first person, it'll be first person character. And what you want to happen is simply for the actor to destroy actor. And not the character though, so make sure the blue is not hooked up. You just want that to be blank, and make sure it says self, because you want the flashlight to be destroyed when the character overlaps. Now we can test that out to make sure it works. I'm sure that works, you know what I'm saying? It's not a hard code right there. But let's go ahead and show you that it works here in the game. Bop, now the flashlight's gone. Okay, now that that's gone, we need to add the flashlight to the player's hand and to his inventory or whatever. So let's make a couple things happen. So when you do walk over the flashlight, we need the player to say, oh, he has the flashlight. Okay, but we don't want to equip the flashlight. We want that to be another button, right? So let's do this. Double click on your player character. For me, this third person character. And we're going to write some variables. Never mind that one right there. All right, so the first variable that we're going to need is has flashlight. So has FL, you can write that. And then another variable you can write is like uh, FL on or flashlight on, right? So then you can equip it, and let's see, we can write another one called equipped. FL equipped. All right, cool. That way, when we run over the flashlight, we'll tell the character that they get the flashlight. So let's make that happen. Open up your flashlight blueprint. And look, I'm going a little fast, but that's because I just drank a Red Bull. So you know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's all good. So drag off a as third person character and say has FL. And we're going to set has FL to true. So as soon as they run over that, it's going to set has flashlight to true. And it's going to destroy the actor. Perfect. Now go back to your third person character. And we need to create some buttons for them to equip. So let's say, let's put the E button to be equipped. Because, I mean, just for an example, right? You could do whatever button you want. So I'm going to just type in E keyboard. And find the E key down here. Alright, so this is going to be my equipped. When I press this button, we need to do a branch. So branch, if has flashlight is true, then we can do a function. So here's what we're going to do. Really, you don't need a function at this point because all we're going to do is make the flashlight visible and not visible. But we can't do that yet because we didn't add the flashlight to the character. So let's viewport, go back to the viewport, see your character, find it on the left hand side where it says mesh, press add, and we're going to add a static mesh. The static mesh that you want to add over here on the right hand side, just look for your flashlight, which mine's right there at the top. And you see that it's like the same size as bro. But it's okay, because we'll compile and save. But what we're going to do is, where it says parent socket, attach it to their right hand. And if you have the bones set up correctly, you'll see the right hand socket right over here. Now, if you're not seeing any sockets over here, that means you didn't put the static mesh underneath the character mesh. And you need to just move that there. So let's find right hand, right hand. Perfect. And now, remember, I know the scaling for my flashlight is, what did I say? 0.113? Something like that. That's a little small. We'll make it bigger. Like that. And then here's a way to get the flashlight perfect in their hands. Right? He's moving a lot, so if I start to move that flashlight, it won't do good. Click on your character's mesh. And then over here in the right hand side, you'll see underneath the advanced tab, which you may have to open up, you'll be able to press pause animations. This way, I can go back to my flashlight and I can get it straight in their hands perfectly. So let's get that flashlight into Reggie's hand here. It's kind of big. We'll make it smaller like that. Boom, boom. And this is where you can get exact. This is what your character will look like when they're holding the flashlight. So for me, I like it like that. Bop. Okay, compile and save. And now, one thing here with this flashlight, you see that the light, we need to make sure this light is off initially. So that material, this one right here, this needs to be the light off. So actually, to find out where that is, there's a little folder button. Press the folder with the magnifying, and now we see that one. So we need it to be the one that we created with the light off. So I'm just going to highlight that one, and I'm going to swap it out there. That way it doesn't appear that the light is on, you know. We could turn it on. Alright, cool. Now, the next thing that we need to do is let's go ahead and go back to the event graph. And so, oh, actually, my bad. Back to the viewport. Click on that flashlight, the static mesh on the right hand side. If you scroll all the way down, or almost all the way down, under rendering, unclick visible. And now there is no flashlight in his hand. Now we need to go to the event graph. So when they press E, if they do have the flashlight, then we need to take the flashlight. So drag your static mesh and drag off of that and say visible. Or no, sorry, not is visible. It's visibility. Set visibility. And just make this the visibility to true right here, right? If they don't have the flashlight and they press E, nothing can happen, right? So let's test all of that out to make sure it's working. I'm gonna press play here. I'm gonna walk into this light. Oh, you know what we didn't do? Let's undo that. Let's go back to our character. Third person character. Viewport. Back on our mesh. We forgot to unpause the animations. Compile, save. Bop. Alright. So we're back here. Let's go here. And when I press E, nothing happens because I don't have the flashlight. So let's walk over to that flashlight. Bop. Now the flashlight's gone. And I press E, and the flashlight's equipped. Now what if you want that flashlight to, like if you press E again, him to get rid of it? Let's put that in the game too. So stop, content, third person character. So here on E, from the E key, let's add a flip-flop before everything. So flip-flop. That allows us to press the same key and get two different results. So the first time we press it, if they have the flashlight, if that's true, then we're going to make it appear. The second time, just copy all of that code. So copy and paste it down below. Hook it up. If they have the flashlight, then they press the E again, then it's going to be, they can unequip it. Now let's say save, and let's test that out real quick. So let's go pick up this flashlight. Got it. E, it's in my hand. E, it's not in my hand. Bet. Alright, a few more things here. We're almost done. Alright, so if it is equipped, so if it is visible right here, then we need to make sure that the FL equipped set FL equipped to true. So we know that it's equipped. And then if it's not equipped, we'll do the same thing. So copy, paste, set that one to false. That way we'll know when we can turn on the light and when we can't turn on the light. And now that's good for our equipped. You can comment this out and say equipped flashlight. So C, equip flashlight. So there we go. Now, all right, let's put the actual light in here. This is the thing that I really wanted to talk about because there's two different ways that we could put the light. There's actually three different ways that we could do it. I'm gonna show you as many as I can. So let's start off with the first way. This is the way that I would do it in a game that I would. It's just me how I would make a game. You know what I'm saying? So I would go down to my static mesh here. First of all, let's make it visible real quick so I can see what I'm doing. So here's my flashlight. And all we need to do is add a spotlight to that static mesh. So while it's highlighted here, press add and then look for spotlight, which is it's usually down here somewhere. You can just type it in though. Anyways, look for that. Now, what you want to do is make sure that spotlight is at the end of the flashlight. So let's pause the character's animations again. Click on the mesh, pause animation. Now find that spotlight. And it is tied to that static mesh, so it will move when that static mesh moves. So make sure it's at the very end of the static mesh. Now inside of a flashlight here, you're going to notice that it has that little glass there. You don't want it to be behind the glass. You want it to be right in front of the glass. Alright, cool. Now if you compile and save that, there's one more thing we need to do in the event graph for that to work. But while the spotlight is highlighted, let's take the intensity of it right here on the right hand side and turn it all the way down to 0. So now save and let's go back to our event graph. So let's make a function for turning on and turning off the flashlight, and then we'll connect it to a button. So the way we'll do that is we'll say custom event. So custom event, and we're going to say turn on FL. So when you turn on the flashlight, these are the things that we want to happen. We want that light, so drag off the spotlight and drag it in. We want that to set intensity. And set it back to, it was at 5,000 when we first started, so I'm going to just put it back up there. But before that, you want to ask a question. So branch, we want to see if the flashlight is equipped. Because if it is, then we'll be able to turn it on. So if it's true, turn it on. If not, don't do anything, right? But that's not the only thing that we need to happen. The other thing that we need to happen is let's go back to our viewport, right? Click on your static mesh, which is the flashlight. And remember that light material, which was, for me, element 4, material 6. Let's change it to the one that was bright. So for me, that's going to be material 5. So I need to change element 4 to material 5. So on my static mesh, I would drag it off and say set material. Then I could change element 4 to material 5, which you just click on that and put it in like that. Okay. So now when I turn on the flashlight, it should turn on the light and literally the inner light. Now let's make a custom for turning it off. So let's say custom event, and we'll call it turn off FL. Alright. And same thing, you can say if the flashlight is equipped, so you can copy and paste the first part. What we want is the spotlight. You can just copy and paste the whole thing. Just copy and paste. Alright, what we want is the spotlight to go back to 0. And we want the material to go back to the other material, the off one. So for me, that would be material 6, I think. Yeah, this one right here. Bop. Alright, so that looks good. Now we've got a function for turning on and turning off the flashlight. However, we don't have a button to call those functions yet. So let's make the F key, for this example, be that. So F keyboard, right there. And when I press it, let's do a flip-flop. So the first thing we'll do is we'll turn on the flashlight. Now remember, the flashlight will not turn on unless it's equipped. So the second thing we'll do is we'll turn off the flashlight. And there we go, right? So that should be everything set up perfectly. You can comment that all out. It's like turn, on / off, I guess. FL. And then the other part right here is just the functions. I'll put all of that together, to be honest. Bop. Bop. Compile, save, let's test it out. So, I press play. I'm walking towards the flash. Oh, okay, I've messed up a couple things. So go back to our third person character real quick. Let's go back to the viewport. First of all, his static mesh, let's make it not visible. Second of all, his actual character's mesh, let's make it so that you unpause the animations. And now we should be good. Play. Alright, so I walk over to the flashlight. Now I've got it in my inventory. Let's press E. Now it's in my hand. Now let's press F to turn it on. And let's see if it works. Alright, so it does work. Now, here's one thing that you may notice. Alright, you may notice that once you pick up the flashlight, right, and you equipped it, and then you press F, like your flashlight is moving all over the place, right? Because it's in his hand and it's moving with his hand. Now there's two ways to solve that. There's an easy way and a hard way. The easy way to solve that is going like this. So press stop. Let's go back to the third person character. Let's go back to the viewport here where we're looking at it. And instead of connecting the spotlight right here to the end of the static mesh, which is our flashlight, what we're going to do is we're going to connect it straight up to the follow cam instead. So drag it and connect it to the follow cam. It'll leave it right there in the same spot. You don't have to move it at all. Press save. But watch this now. So when we press play and we go pick up the flashlight, pick it up, right? Equipped it, press F, and now the flashlight is literally moving with our camera. Now the only problem with that is, like, if I move my camera like backwards, like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, he's not even pointing the light that way. But this will allow you to point up and down and all around. So that's a really cool fix to it. The other fix to it, like I said, is the hard way. So let's go ahead and fix that one. So the hard way to fix it, let's connect it back to the static mesh, right? You want it to be connected to that static mesh. All right, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to go into their animation blueprint, and you're gonna have to create a new state of movement, right? And before you even do this, we'd have to create a new animation. So what I would do is I would take their animation, go to their walking animation, and duplicate it. Once you duplicate it right here, you'll get another one. And when you get inside of this one, I want you to pause it at 0, drag it back to 0, and then right click, and then you remove everything after, from 1 to 30 or from 1 to whatever number you're at. So remove all the frames except that first frame. Once you have that, you could press key and save. But basically, you want to make sure you save this animation because that's what we're about to use. So now, if you don't want them to, if you don't want that light to be moving all over the place, but you do want it to be connected to that one, to the flashlight, you've got to create a new state of movement, which I'm gonna call mine FL move, flashlight move. I've got my regular movement, and I'm gonna have a flashlight movement. So from the regular movement, I'm just gonna say from idle, you can go to flashlight movement. It just makes sense. But the only way you can get there is if has flashlight is true. So we need to make a variable on the left hand side called has flashlight or has flash, and drag that off and connect it up. So if that is true, then yeah, he can enter into that state. And you can say and too. You can say and, put an and boolean, and you can say the speed is greater than or equal to 1. Bet. So if the speed is greater than or equal to 1 and they have the flashlight, they can enter into this state, which is flashlight movement. And then to go back to idle, let's say speed is less than 1. Yeah, that's all we need really, basically. Now for the FL move, double click there, and this is what we're gonna have to set up here. So I will delete this. I'll delete that out, and I compile and save. You can just take the blend space that we made, right? And you would usually just hook it straight up, but in this case, we're gonna hook direction up to direction, speed up to speed. But then we're gonna say layered blend per bone, just like that. And the animation base pose is gonna be our shit. It's gonna be this shit right here. Our blend space. And damn. And this one, the actually blend-in pose that we're going to use is the animation that we just made. So grab that animation, the one that we duplicated. Mine's called walking 4_1. Drag it straight in and connect it up. Blend weights 1, that's cool. And then you can put the output to here. Only thing is, right here where it says layered blend per bone, click on that. And you're going to have to change a few things. So for me, over here where it says layer setup, click that down, click the inbox down, branch filters, press the plus. Now click that down and name the bone where you want it to split at. So for me, I want this top part right here, which is the base. I want that to be him regularly walking. And then I want it to change when he gets to like the top part of his body. So I don't want that to be moving. So I want that to be that animation. So I think that break would be around his like spine 1 or spine area. You could double check that by going back into your character, double click on their static mesh for the character, and then you'll see the skeleton tree. For me, I'm gonna check out his spine. Yep, spine 1. Spine 1 is too high. I just need regular spine. So go back to your animation blueprint, and where it says layered blend per bone, our bone name right here is going to be spine. S-P-I-N-E. Boom. You can change a whole bunch of this other stuff, but for now I think that's straight enough. Cool. So the only way he'll go into this state is if he has the flashlight and the speed is more than 1. So let's go to the event graph real quick here in the animation blueprint and make sure has the flashlight. So basically drag off your character and get the variable has the flashlight. But in this case, I kind of want to say FL equipped. So FL equipped, right? And we're going to use that as our indicator. So we'll set the has flash as FL equipped, because that's when we want him to change his actual animations. So compile and save. Let's actually see if that works out, right? Okay, so I'm walking around like normal. I'm gonna go to pick up the flashlight. Picked up the flashlight. I'm still walking like normal, but if I equipped it, then I'm not walking like normal. So let me show you. If I press F, now there's very little movement in the flashlight because his top part of his body is not moving. It's stuck in that one frame from that animation. The only part of his body is the bottom part that's moving. So now when you turn the camera around, the flashlight doesn't go behind him. It actually makes sense to where he's pointing at. Now, y'all, this is getting very long. I could teach you from this point how to aim up and make the animations go up, and aim down and make the animations go down. But I've done that in a tutorial when we were talking about the gun aiming up and aiming down. So if you do ask for that in the comments, I'm going to link you to that video. However, I hope that I answered a lot of questions while doing this flashlight video and gave you some options on how you want to build your flashlight in your game. Other than that, that's all I've got for you, man. I hope that y'all learned a lot, and I hope you have a great day and stay mad creative. But other than that, other than that, peace.